if nothing else, that should be some nice composted soil. Right, so some of the sticks. So that's a mix of horse manure, which I get from a place fairly locally, possibly actually some of my compost as well, and then I think some of the hardware store bought compost and things, but that is probably actually really good to use for potting soil, so I might start doing that. I'm going to keep working on this, and then I'll cut back at some other point, see how we're going, see how we do. Brief update. There's a pile of the sticks I've pulled out, and that's the state it's currently in. That cardboard has been in there since the very beginning, so it obviously hasn't rotted down, which again, testament to it probably not getting enough water in it. It would have had a bunch of cardboard bits in the main mixer as well, just because that would have been mixed in with all the bits and pieces, but I did find a whole lot of that clumped up with some other detritus from kind of down that way. I suspect it was a mouse or rat nest, and I have definitely had mice in here, so that's another good reason to take this down. So I shall continue going. There's more of the sticks. You can see the window leads out to that side, and that's the only other window. Sorry, that's the only other window on this side of the greenhouse, so I should get a nice little bit of light in here, but I shall keep going and tackling this and see how we go. Excavations continue. Taking quite a while, but I do have access to a point at which that's screwed into the back, also screwed in there. I think I'll end up cutting through those boards there, because they actually still form the back of that raised bed, which I'll leave in for the moment because that's actually got a few plants in it, including my pineapple, which somehow is managing to hang on there. But for the time being, I shall continue getting into all of this. I'm nearly at a level that's close enough to the bottom. I may end up leaving some of the bottom there because it's going to basically form the topsoil anyway, but I'll see how I go. I might actually go and get the screwdriver and try and take the sides off, and we'll see how we go. Progress. Okay, so I've not too gently removed this side. I think I might actually have had it screwed in down here as well. That's still screwed in. I can knock that off later, that's fine, but that's now done. I also noticed I seem to have some sort of plant growing there. I'll have to check to see what that is further down, in case it's something I want to have, but it might have just been one of the sticks growing under the soil. So as soon as you take that out, which shouldn't be, focus on my hand, which shouldn't be too much trouble, then as I mentioned, I'll most likely cut through that with a pruning saw, because I like how easy it is to use, and then you might be able to see there's a whole lot of weedy growth up the back here, which will need to be pulled out, and then eventually I'll be able to consider converting this very solid compacted soil to possibly growing space, and maybe moving some other things around as well, because this, if I back up, I'm careful of the part of the thing that I brought out, that shelf can easily move. That's just obviously a metal one that I was given by someone from my local hackerspace. I have the one shelf there, but as people have suggested, well, at least two people, that's right, that counts as people, I have all this space that I can put some shelves on. I might make some deeper shelves so I can possibly fit some bigger pots basically, and perhaps actually do some growing along there, because that's basically the other end of the greenhouse where I have my gardening tools kept. So I've got a few pots of what is probably, as I was saying, some reasonable compost soil there now. This probably doesn't give the best. It's always a bit hard to give the impression of the size of a place via video, but that's right up to the back. That's the back of the greenhouse. So there's a fair bit of space in here, and it's just a case of figuring out the best way to use it. That's the avocado that I pulled out of the compost. As you can see, it's not doing super well, but I don't think it's died off yet. And a couple of orange trees. There's some more of the soil that I've pulled out. Some more, which that's obviously got a bit of rooty mass in it, but that should be right. Yet more. But yeah, quite a few sticks there. Anyway, I shall stick to it and, fun enough, and keep out and see what I can end up with. I just had to do a very quick update. Turns out that's another avocado. It shows how resilient they are, because that must have been, if not completely buried, at least mostly buried with only a minimal amount of sun. Like, it clearly hasn't grown any leaves on it. But if you look at the tip there, it looks like it is still going, and that's a decent bit of growth for it, the decent root system to it as well. So I quickly potted it up there, put a bit of water in with it. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it's no real loss. But yeah, that was a bit of a fun find. Right, that little patch there is ground level, so to speak. So judge, I'll get an idea, but hang on, I'll come up this way again. So that being ground level, that might be a better way to do it. Similar to there, so there's a fair bit of soil still there, but that can come all the way out to obviously this line here. So I might spread that out, and it'll just all start off with a fairly thick layer of soil / compost, what have you. But I'll pull out those weeds first, because they've been bugging me ever since I figured that I'd left them a gap to grow in. And then I'll probably leave it there for today, because it's getting a bit late, and I might see if I can finish it off tomorrow and consider whether I want to even start planting into it. We'll see how we go. Okay, I did squeeze in a little bit more. I just pulled out the most of the weeds. There's still some around the corner, which I'll try to get to when I can. I'm not sure if you can see the roof tiles there. Those are actually broken ones from our roof that I had dropped down the side to try and minimise the weed growth. Obviously it didn't work very well. But anyway, that's now covered all the way out to the edge. As you can see, there's actually, again, pretty hard to tell. Let's get the stick. Get the stick here. No, that's not a stick, that's a stick. Probably still doesn't actually do much to indicate the height, but that's ground level, as it were. So I'd say it's probably 10-15 centimetres deep actually, so it's pretty deep, but some of that will probably settle, and if it doesn't matter. It's all just nice raised growing bed, which is the plan for it now. I'll see how I go. I might move some of these broccoli out there, the spinach, and see how they go. I'll probably start them out sort of the edge first, and then maybe sort of bring them in a bit. But anyway, as you can see, there should be quite a bit of light coming in there, and that might actually help the greenhouse in general, not having so much of the window space blocked. And you can just see my sweet pea flowers there. Kind of nice. Obviously that outside area needs a lot of weeding and such as well, but I'm working in stages. We'll get there. There's my orange tree, the lettuce that's gone to seed. They're very happy to be there, apparently. Parsley, and the other bits and pieces, the other pineapple, which is currently potted up, apple tree, capsicum. I should possibly take those off, seeing as I don't think they're really going to grow much more, given that we're in winter now. But anyway, that apple tree is looking a bit sad. I also noticed this one. I can't remember what seed that is, but it's one that I did put in there, and I'm pretty sure that's not orange, because I think that's an orange tree next to it. So I'll be curious to see what that grows to be. Anyway, that's the the greenhouse as it is now on the, excuse the arm, 29th of June 2023. Ballarat, Victoria, Australia. Thanks for watching and happy gardening. So in this somewhat hodgepodge of a video, this is the next day, so this is the 30th of June. What I'm planning on doing is moving this shelf down this end, basically putting it against here. This is a south-facing wall, so basically have the, not a lot of sun, but it shouldn't be too bad because that's just the shelf with some of my propagating trays on it. So I've already taken the screws out of here that held my garden tools, and what I'll be able to do then is probably put some shelves into the wall there, kind of like that, but perhaps sticking out a bit more. It'll give me a bit of better access to the new ground level there, and I'll see how we go with that. There you go, that seems to fit quite nicely there. So now that leaves us with a good bit of space here, and much easier to get around here. That's actually a whole bunch of clay that was at the bottom of the raised bed, because the front yard has a whole bunch of clay, probably about a foot or two down, which again I extracted when I took out the old tree to replace with fruit trees. So I'll probably move that, possibly actually just out there into that area. Might help suppress some of the weeds. I'm going to have to fix this trellis in because I don't really trust that to stay where it is, especially if I start putting some beans in there, which is the plan. But yeah, that's definitely looking a bit more manageable. I might try getting a bit fancy and using that for some shots, but we'll see how we go. You can hear that's my oh so excellent building work means that this place has some dripping, so I've just put the watering can there for the moment to catch some of the drips to use for watering later. Anyway, I shall figure out what I'm doing next and get to it. I'm just going to put the, fortunately this drill bit actually sits in there nicely, so I don't have to hold it, which is very handy. Put that up where I want it, and then just a bit, I can sit there. Put the next one probably out there, a bit of extra room. That's all good. Two more. And that should fit there. I'll do it with the handle for this one because it's got it. I think that's how I had it before, actually. So again, I'll line it up. That should be alright. There. Probably come out a bit, actually. There we go. Lock it in. Lock it in. Nice and easy. So I'm just going to make a couple of shelves for some plants. Bigger board. Because it's bigger, I want to have a bit of an L brace to sit on it. So this one will actually get screwed into the wall, but this one will just give a bit of support that way. Theoretically. We'll see how we go. So it should be about there. Yep, got to be careful with those sorts of things. Yeesh. That's a bit better. You can see how I get a Heath Robinson reputation. Okay, so that should sit like that. So it does do the job. Probably use the smaller piece for that. Turn that around. Longer piece for that. That way again. I'll try and brace it with my belly. Because why not? Lean into it as well. So those are done. Now, no, that was right, that way. Okay, so I should probably screw in from that side now, which means changing of the screws. Okay, the reason I've changed the screws is because these are quite a bit shorter. There. But that board's not overly thick, so I can just come up there. I'll probably do a couple into there. They're not as snug a connection with part there, so that will actually fall off, but I'm going to be drilling up, so it shouldn't be too big an issue. They do wobble a bit though. That should go right. There it is. Okay, that's... It does help if you actually got the... If you don't have the drill on hammer setting to start with, that does help. It's a useful setting when you want to get it in more, but like now, but the initial one, not so good. Oh, there you go, that's better. Okay, so it should be easier this time. Okay. Careful of your hands. Let's see, where are we? There. Okay. Ow. Yep, that hurt. Yep. The reason this drill bit doesn't fit it as well is because the pack I got is actually discounted because the bit was missing. Having said that, a bit that fits properly and keeps it more tightly connected would be nice. Right, I'll keep this hand further away this time, it's probably a better idea. That's different, yep. There we go. That's better, okay. So that's one. Good. I'll get the next one in. I might switch this to hyperlapse. Okay, so now pick it up, put it in place. It's kind of nice to have it. Might just do it level with the other one. These ones again are the nice big bolts that have, they fit snugly into the point, so it makes it a bit easier. So, see now this is where the hammer drill comes in. It gets it nice and tight, much better. Okay, so one more. Switch back to not hammer drill. Got a spare because they can always drop off still, and it's good to have a spare one. That's roughly straight. Close enough, Heath Robinson. Now got a new shelf for putting plants on. Okay, well, with one shelf up for the moment, I think it's time to put in some seeds. So these, as you can see, should be fine. That's basically where we are there, Victoria. So winter is fine. These are sugar snap peas, which I've found we like quite a bit. I normally have snow peas, but as with anyone who's getting into gardening, I guess, I've sort of just been grabbing bits and pieces. And these are the ones that are growing at the back of the bench in front of the fish pond. And I had some of those and they're quite nice. So I'll just put some in here near the trellis. Oops, there goes one. Oh, actually there goes two. That's all right. it. Pinky's not set. There we go. Okay. So use our tiles here. Might as well push that one in. That one can come over here as well. There we go. Ooh, that's quite a few. That's all right. We'll go with those. There we go. 2 for there. 2 for there. Another one there. Now we'll just cover those ones in. That's fine as well. Very rough, but that's all right. Okay. Now. That's just blade of grass, that's fine. There's still some in there, so I'll pack that away. I'll go and grab some water. Okay. Now, I don't have... Oh, there's a spider there, I'll just leave that to be. I don't have a great water collection system at the moment. I just don't have any material, any buckets, any containers that are big enough, so I've got a 20 litre bucket out there, which is the most I've got at the moment. Just got some of the water into here. Let's give it all quick water in. The first ones to go into this improvised bed. It's actually come up to the surface bit, but if I use this stick as a bit of a dibber, there we go, fine. Get more of the water in, and they should be all set. Good to go. So, the outside view, around the bathtub pond. That still needs to be replaced. That's just plastic film to replace the window that got broken when I first got those screens because it fell over. I suspect it was a possum or a cat jumping on it. Anyway, not to worry. So, new position for this shelf, which I quite like. The redone tool rack, essentially the same, just moved it across really. This is now a bit full with all the extra pots with the soil in them, which should hopefully be quite nice and fertile. And then there's our new gardening space and the new shelf there, the big one there. So that's all for now with this very long, wonky, all over the place video. Thanks for watching. Happy gardening.